Hey guys, so here bringing you another video. Welcome back to another Huzzy Q&A. Last one we did one of these, it was a few weeks ago, and obviously a bit has changed, because in that Q&A I was like, hey, the background's probably going to look different next time, and obviously it's not. Again, very quick summary, because I'm sure there's going to be people asking questions about that. I have, here or there, said what kind of happened, but in essence, I did move out. I moved out for the first time ever, and it turns out it was the wrong time and really the wrong house. So, obviously, the world is a bit weird in 2020. Unfortunately, a lot of us have felt a bit isolated with obviously staying indoors a lot more. I personally have not seen my real life friends in person for a few months, quite a few months actually. So feeling kind of alone and then moving out alone for the first time ever was just a bad mix in general. So that's kind of the point number one. That kind of what happened, and then point number two was the house wasn't right for me. So it was a really nice house, but two things were kind of wrong with it. So firstly, and it sounds crazy as it is, it was too big. Normally people think of, I'm going to get a massive house, it's going to be amazing. It was too big for an individual. It made me feel even more alone. If you have a studio apartment, sometimes you're probably not going to feel alone because everything's just here. You're in one room. It works quite well. Having in essence, what was a 3-story house, quite a lot of bedrooms, it just was too isolating. And for those like, why did you even get that? I got a house to host LAN parties with me and my friends. And I've learnt basically that, when that's not going to be 99% of the time that I'm in the house, I shouldn't be buying a house for LAN parties and hosting people. I should be buying it or renting it, whatever, for me. So those are kind of the two main things. And well, the other thing as well with the house, it was a semi-detached house. So it meant that one wall was attached to another wall of another house. And unfortunately, again, depending where you live in the world, I didn't think there'd be any sound issues, but every now and then I could hear the neighbors, the other side of the wall in my office. And then I was wanting, the whole point of moving out was I want to start streaming late and streaming till 2 a.m. I never could get that confidence level to just stream till 2 a.m. I'm quite a conscious person. I don't want to upset people. And I didn't want to be that neighbor of, oh, dude, the neighbors moved in and now talking till 2 a.m. So I never felt comfortable even to do that. And that was kind of the whole point of moving out. So I've learned quite a few lessons here. And, I have had messages. And if you have sent me a message, appreciate it. I've probably read it. But I haven't been replying to everybody because there's been quite a lot, and I do appreciate that. But it's not affected my confidence level moving forward. Some people are like, oh, hopefully it doesn't. I don't think so. It's a very weird time we're in 2020. And next time, which will most likely be early next year, I've learned a lot about what's going to go different. So next time, I'm probably not going to be renting. I'm actually probably going to try and buy a house early next year for the first time ever, get on the property ladder, because especially here in the UK, they have got rid of a extra cost called stamp duty until like April or something next year. So I want to try and make use of that. You're saving thousands off a house. So hopefully that will be good. And I've learned, buy a house that's for me, buy a detached house that there's no other house that's touching mine, therefore I don't have to care about sound levels and stuff with neighbors recording in my own house, and little things here or there. I've learned a bit here or there, so that's good. And yeah, I'll be back here obviously, so things aren't going to really change for the next 6 to 8 months, and I'm okay with that. I am okay with that, and hopefully you guys are too. I was pretty damn happy how content has been going the last few months. So it'll just continue like that, to be honest. So yeah. So hopefully, I'm sharing all this because it's a learning thing. I'm an educational league channel. Weirdly, sometimes that can kind of spread over to education in life with how things I'm experiencing, and if that helps anybody in their own moving out or anything experience, then there you go. I did have someone saying to me like, oh, the actual tip of not buying a house that's too big or renting a house that's too big when you are alone was actually a good advice, because I was going to do that. It's like, yeah, it's weird how it kind of works, but there's the update. And again, I thought I'd give that update of why we're back here, because there's bound to be questions about it. Next question, and first technical question of the thingy. Do I consider winning a game by backdooring a legit strategy? I mean, it's a type of strategy. It's not one that you can guarantee all the time. Like, you can't be like, I am a backdoor player. It's an opportunist strategy. If there's an opportunity to do it and you go for it, go for it. I actually did one earlier today, little spoiler of an upcoming video, but I did it, a backdoor, a little bit of a backdoor anyway, today. And if you're like, what the hell's a backdoor? Basically, if the Nexus is completely open, you know, you could go and attack the Nexus. One player might go quickly to try and end the game while there's a distraction happening. There's a big team fight happening, but the top laner ignores everybody, just runs straight to the Nexus and ends the game by himself. And the enemy team is like, oh snap, we can't react because we're now in a team fight or whatever. That's kind of a backdoor. It's a legit strategy for sure because you're winning the game. But again, it's not something that you can do all the time, or it's not something you should be looking to do all the time. There have been many a game that there's a top laner, let's say like a Jax, that's like, I am backdooring, and they end up losing their team the game because they're so fixated on, I'm going alone into the enemy base to try and end the game. They die, big team fight breaks out, they lose the team fight because now they're outnumbered, and then they lose the game. So be careful with when you're doing it, but yeah, you can do it. Someone saying, what is my least favorite item in the game? Probably right now is weirdly Death's Dance. Even though, you know, in some of my champ pool, especially if I'm playing top lane, Death's Dance is a very powerful item. That's the issue. I think it's too powerful. I think for what is, in essence, the latest item in the game, I'm pretty sure, I think it's the newest item, I think it's pretty unhealthy for the game. It gives too much. And also, yeah, it got nerfed for ranged champions, but it still is pretty damn strong. You know, it gives 20% damage reduction instantly that is spread then over 3 seconds. Well, then it also gives lifesteal, so as long as you're constantly attacking, you're just lifestealing that damage back. Now, for ranged champions, 10%, not 20. That's still a lot of damage that they're negating and then lifestealing back. I don't think that's a good mechanic, personally. And then also, you can't ignore just the stats that it gives. It gives tank stats, AD, cooldown reduction, and lifesteal. And also then the damage reduction that is then spread over 3 seconds. It's legitimately mental, like absolutely mental. So yeah, like I don't really know what to say about Death's Dance other than I think it's just a kind of poopy item, personally. Next up is what champion do I think has the biggest disparity between lore, concept, and actual abilities in game? Ooh, Malphite, possibly. That's the one that just springs to mind. The only thing that I know about Malphite's lore is that when people say, oh, his actual size, he legitimately is supposed to be massive, like an actual mountain. I think Galio is also the same. And obviously, if you look at the lore compared to what they are in game, well, there's obviously a bit of a size difference there. Like, I guess that's the only ones that kind of go to my mind instantly. Next up is, what is my goal for the next year with streaming and YouTube? A good question. That's actually one that we don't really answer that much because we've been just kind of chugging along the last few years. Well, the bigger one for me, and it's the main one that I will most likely have until I am not a YouTuber anymore, is just keep going. You know, I would say I work quite hard doing what I do. You know, 2 videos a day. Every day is kind of crazy. And I do know it's crazy. I actually, for the last couple of years, have had friends tell me it's kind of crazy. If you guys are unaware, if you're new, I legitimately do everything by myself. Everything. So we're talking both the video editing. So obviously all the recording on stream, that's me. Then turning those streams. It's not as simple, by the way. I don't just get a VOD and then upload that. That's not what I do. I'm locally recording every game that I play. I then go in Photoshop into Premiere Pro. I do a bit of audio balancing that may, you know, need to be done. I obviously do a bit of editing of cutting off the sides. Obviously not crazy editing, let's be honest. But then obviously that video has to then render and then has to be uploaded. Then there has to be the thumbnails. I do all the thumbnails. I do all the tags, the titling as well. People underestimate how long it takes to think of titles. You know, why is someone going to click on this video? Is because it probably has an interesting title. Obviously, for a lot of YouTube, it's clickbait, but I try to not do that as best as I can. But thinking of titles is time consuming, and doing a bit of research on some champions of what has been doing well with other videos of what other people have been doing recently as well. I do that a little bit, but not too much. And then, yeah, obviously uploading it, doing the ads for it, obviously community stuff. I would say that recently I've been less active in the community of responding to things because I've just been focusing on myself. But yeah, like in essence, everything you see on Huzzy Games is me. What I would say is my goals for the next couple years, pretty much, is to maintain being a YouTuber streamer. So for YouTube channel, as I've said for the last couple of years, over 1 million views a month is where I'm always pretty happy. A few months ago, obviously with people being home more, we were getting 1.3 million for 2 months in a row, and then it's gone down to like 1.1, 1.2 at the moment, and that's completely fine. Understandable completely. So to maintain, that's awesome. If it could grow, amazing. You know, I do love the game League of Legends. I genuinely do. I haven't been playing this game 10 years forever, like for no reason. And I don't continue playing this game just because I'm, you know, a YouTuber. Trust me, like mental health is very important. And if this game was legitimately breaking me, I would stop. It's more important, you know, life is too short to be doing something that you genuinely hate. So I do not hate League. But what I would say is potentially in the next couple of years, I will continue doing League content. But if there does come a game that I am just fixated in playing, and I'm like, I love this, this is my jam, then maybe do spread a little bit more in doing that. A little bit, you know. I do 2 videos a day, so which is crazy. So maybe a few times a week, the second video of the day is a different game. Stuff like that I think could be interesting. And what I would say is I do have like things in my mind at the moment that I do want to live a little bit more. I don't want to be stuck in a recording room all the time. So in the next couple of years, it might be weirdly, and this is a goal for YouTube and streaming, is also live a little bit more. I know a lot of people look up to YouTubers and streamers and they want to do it. I understand completely, you know, and it's great. But a lot of YouTubers and streamers don't actually live. We're just streaming and doing YouTube, most likely in an office or a bedroom. I need to live a little bit more too. So I'd say my goal for YouTube and streaming for the next couple of years is also balancing my life better with it. Because, yeah, you know, I'm 26 now. And for the last at least 4 years, just over 4 years, sorry, of now being a full-time YouTuber streamer, haven't done that much. Like, let's be honest, I've gone out, I've had holidays, I see my friends here or there, but not compared a lot to other mid-20-year-olds. So, live a little bit more. But maintain being a YouTuber streamer. I like what I do. And obviously, I have got a plan after being a YouTuber streamer, but that has been heavily delayed with what's going on in the world right now. Because obviously, if I want to become a pilot after doing YouTube, it's not really, you know, they're not hiring pilots at the moment when so many of them have unfortunately been laid off. So they're not going to be training new ones either for probably the next few years. Next up is what do I think of the fact about Riot is trying to make dead characters in League's lore actual champions? For example, Senna and Yone. I think it's pretty cool. I'm not a massive lore person, you know, if you couldn't guess. I'm not massive into League of Legends lore. I know bits, you know, you pick bits up here or there, and it's cool. Like, for what I know, it is interesting, and if Riot did, like, an active, you know, movie or a lore thing, I would definitely be into it. You know, obviously, they have that series that I think is going to go on Netflix by my guess, the Jinx series. That's been delayed, but I'll be watching that for sure, and that's technically, like, to do with lore, because it's the world behind the game. So I'm interested in it. I just don't actively, like, read the bios for every single champions like I know some people do. But I do think it's cool of this. Like, I know some people have been angry about it. I don't really get the anger behind it, personally. You know, as long as it makes sense to why they're coming back. And by that little teaser for Yone, it kind of looked like, oh, he's died. And now there was, like, this challenge. And if you beat the challenge of that kind of demon-looking thing, you might be able to go back to the world of the living, but maybe nobody beats it. And Yone, well, he kind of beat it, but he also kind of tied with him. That's why he kind of got infected at the same time, I think. That's what it looks like by the teaser. I think that's cool. And then Senna makes sense that I would imagine as soon as they did Lucian with the whole, oh, his wife got lost to Thresh and everything, I 100%, like 99% would say Senna was probably in the works, or like they knew they were going to do Senna when they made Lucian. And that whole lore with Thresh and everything, like, oh, she's stuck in his lantern, in the souls and everything. I can nearly guarantee, like, yeah, like, she was coming down the line in the design when they did Lucian. So I think it's cool. You know, one champion that they always kind of hint that was really, I think in the lore that they've always said, oh, he's really powerful, was Jarvan's dad. He would be cool. Imagine that, Jarvan the Third. I don't know if they'd ever do champions with very similar names like that, but it'd be interesting. But yeah, there's that. Next up is, do I think Blitzcrank's hook needs a nerf? No, not at all. So Blitzcrank is what you'd probably call, on average, a better for low rating champion. He can work in high rating, obviously, but the higher the mechanic game, the more likely people are going to dodge his hook. And that is Blitzcrank, let's be honest. If you miss your hook on Blitzcrank, you're pretty much useless. So that is why it also can't really get nerfed, is because that is basically the champion, you know? How would you nerf it? You'd even nerf the range, and obviously the range did actually get buffed a little while back by I think 50 range or so, and it did catch people out for a while. Or you make it a longer cooldown, or more mana. I don't think any of those are warranted. Blitzcrank is not a top tier support by any means. He's quite niche, and he's generally more popular in low rating. So no, I don't think Blitzcrank is a problem at all. You know, if you personally have a problem with Blitzcrank, that is probably something that you need to just work on with dodging his hook. But yeah, not really a problem champion. Next up is, how does color blindness affect my playing? Is it pretty straightforward, or did you have to work around? Well, it's not something in everyday life you notice about being colorblind. Like, I know some people are like, wait, you see black and white? That's not how color blindness works. So I see in full color. I know what every color is. I know what blue is, orange, green, red. I know what things are. It's just sometimes when things, at least for there are differences in color blindness. I can't remember what mine's called. But you know, if you've ever done a colorblind test, those are these circles that have different colored circles within a bigger circle. And there's a number that is hidden in that circle. If you're colorblind to certain degrees, you will not be able to see what that number or picture is. I can't see when they do the red-green colorblind test. I can't see the number in the circle. So what that basically means, if red and green are meshing together, nothing stands out to me. Like, you know, they just kind of blend. So in everyday life, it doesn't really affect me at all, because, you know, a red and a green, usually they aren't on top of each other. They're just separate. You know, traffic lights. So I've always had that one. How do you do traffic lights? Well, I mean, again, there's a big red light and a big green light. They're not on top of each other or right next to each other. And also they're different positioning, and they're also pretty easy to tell apart anyway. So on average, it doesn't affect you at all. Little things though, it's sometimes like reaction time, like with Twisted Fate. The way that Twisted Fate has always affected me is you're on Summoner's Rift, and it's a green map 90% of the time. Unless you're in River, it's a green map. When he has red card on then the green Summoner's Rift, that then is right next to each other, and I sometimes don't see the red card that's above his head or whatever, because it's blended in with the Summoner's Rift. That's the disadvantage. But other than that, there's not a champion that I'm like, oh snap, that's just a bad color thing. Twisted Fate's the only one that I've ever struggled with. And when I say struggle, it's not a big enough issue that, you know, things have to change. I have brought it up to Riot before, and they have, you know, noted it, but nothing has changed, unfortunately. But yeah, nothing major with being it. And you know, when it comes to color blindness, for some reason, opticians always called my color blindness color confusion. I don't know what the difference is personally, but yeah. All right, next up is, will we see duo to challenger, or do I want to get their solo first? Firstly, I've got no intention of ever being a challenger player. I'm not good enough to be a challenger player, let's be honest. Challenger players, one, have to be insanely good. Secondly, you have to commit a lot to be a challenger player. Like, practically, if you want to play, you know, your first time, we're talking about, you know, I've never been a challenger player, your first time achieving challenger, that is the game of League of Legends you're playing. You're not playing any other game practically, you are just playing League to have your perfect peak mechanics of consistently playing the same game. I'm not prepared to do that. I don't want to do that. And also playing a lot of games, you know, to get the best consistency, you're talking at least 5 games a day, probably about 10 games a day to get challenger for the first time, because you need that consistency level, and you're only going to get that consistency level by playing a lot of games. So obviously we're doing the duo series. This video that I'm recording now will be the second video of today. tomorrow will be DuoQ content returning. So we did do a recording session today, and I'm not going to give spoilers, but it went okay. So a little bit of a spoiler, and it's fun. I do like the Duo series. It's a different vibe to the other content that I do. Duoing in general is a different experience to solo queue. So we are doing obviously like Duo to Diamond, Duo to Master. I'm not sure if we'll go beyond that. We'll see how it goes. If we actually get Master in the end of the day, that is a challenge in itself. Master is obviously a very high rating, but it'll be fun. As a YouTuber, I've said it for ages. Either you have two types of YouTubers. You either have a spontaneous YouTuber that is just uploading random things constantly, and every day you're waking up kind of thinking, what am I doing today? I don't like being that type of YouTuber because I like to be more planned out. So I love having series. Series are generally what YouTube used to like years ago. Series aren't as good nowadays because people get bored of the same adventure nowadays. I don't know why people have changed in that avenue. Like, Let's Plays, for example, have died on YouTube. Remember where people used to do Let's Plays and they played through a whole game? That kind of content has died on YouTube. That is now, if you want to do that content, it's now Twitch. So it's the same premise with my series. I know if I wanted to be a bigger, more popular YouTuber, I would drop series completely and just do spontaneous random videos here or there that aren't necessarily in the same series. But I like doing a series because then I wake up going, what am I doing today? Oh, I'm doing Iron to Master. Or I'm doing my main account. I like that. So we will be doing Duo. We'll see how much it goes. But yeah, I have no intention of being a Challenger player. And if Vixie did say to me, hey, let's go to Challenger, I would probably say you probably need a better Duo than me. But yeah. Next up is why don't you usually play champs like Kassadin and Echo even though they are strong? Enjoyment level. My priority with playing League is enjoyment level. I personally don't find those champions fun to play. And that is basically it. If something can be insanely overpowered, but if I don't want to play it, I'm not going to play it. I'm probably not going to purposely play stuff that is really weak, but I'm also not going to play something that I just don't want to play. Next up is how have my headaches been so far? Did they stop with the headphone change? Good question, because this is more of like a helping question. I did experience a lot of headaches, and I still do experience some headaches. But basically, yes, they've got better. So I obviously am in a partnership with SteelSeries, and their products are fantastic. But when it comes to wearing headsets, everybody has a different size head and shape, surprisingly. And that means not every headset is going to work for you. So unfortunately for me, the way that SteelSeries headsets are made, they just don't work for my head for whatever reason. Maybe my head's too big. I don't know, but they feel very constricting on my head. Like I'm basically, it's just smashing my head in. So wearing those for hours on end just doesn't work for me. So I changed obviously the headset, and SteelSeries is fine with it because it's a partnership. And obviously I can't wear a headset that I'm just in pain wearing over, a stream. So I changed. So you'll see me occasionally in these earbuds here that if I actually actively have a headache, I'll be wearing these because these have no constraining on my head. They're little buds. But generally I'm wearing these. So these are Bose Quiet Comfort, I think they're called. And, literally comfort is in the name. They're not perfect. I think a lot of the time you have to kind of realize headsets are not designed to be worn for 15 or not 15, 10 hours a day. They're not really designed for that. They're designed for a couple hours at most, but obviously being a YouTuber streamer, I have to wear a headset for a long time a day. But they're good. When I got them, I actually stretched them. So before I actually actively used them, I took them and I put them over its own box, literally stretching them out for a few days. I just left them there and it stretches the plastic a little bit just to loosen it so it's not as constricting. And yeah, these are good. Every now and then though, I think it does get a little bit, I've got a headache, and again, that's when I'll use the buds. But for the most part, my headaches have lessened a lot. So yeah, that is one thing worth noting, that, you know, it took me a while in a weird way to figure out, why do I get so many headaches? And I was like, wait, it's the headset. Because I was like, I don't wake up with headaches, and the headaches start a few hours into my stream. And whenever I went to the toilet or whatever and I took off the headset, it was literally, you know, when you like take off socks and it's that relief of like, that was on my head. That relief when I took off a headset, it was like, oh God, my head can breathe again, because it was just getting so constricted by the headset. So, yeah. Next up is, how was Season 10 for me? Up and down, up and down. I don't think Season 10 has been great for most people. Yeah, it's weirdly improving, because my main account now is in Diamond 2, which is a much more respectable rank. But it still doesn't feel great, you know. All I say, I can say this because it's clearly not going to be a video. Earlier, when me and Vixie were duo queuing, we legitimately had an inter, like an actual one. You know, the word inting gets thrown around all the time, but a literal guy, he went 1-19 and bought, you know, Tear of the Goddess and Sapphire crystals, a legit inter. And then in the end screen, he's like, oh, I'm not going to get banned, and was really toxic. And I would say there has been more of that in Season 10 than I practically think in any other season. Like, for real. Like, I don't know what's happened. I don't know if it's because of the world situation. People are just, you know, in a more fragile or grumpy mood. I have no idea. But that does seem to be happening more. More toxicity, more inting, more negativity, when I wished it was the other. I wish it was the other way around. I wish it was people being positive and happy and upbeat. And if you're having a bad game, well, just being neutral. You don't have to be inting or being toxic. Just don't say anything and just accept you're having a bad game. So that's what I'd say. Season 10, it's going better for me because I am managing to actually start climbing now on my main account, which is the main account that I do care about. But in the same regard, it does seem that this is potentially, at least for me, the most toxic season. So I don't really know. Like, it's a bit weird. So yeah, I don't know. I wish it wasn't, but it's just the way that it is. And then the final question that we'll go for now, or maybe we'll do a couple, I don't know, we'll see, is what's this? Over your time as a YouTuber and streamer, you've done a lot, such as losing a considerable amount of weight. What was one thing that you got through? Wait, what was the one thing that got you through doing all of that? Oh, so what? Losing weight. Okay, so I guess we can talk about losing weight as a YouTuber streamer. Losing weight as a YouTuber streamer is a bit weird. At least for me, anyway. Again, I only could speak for myself. I wanted to lose weight for years, and I had a few ideas over the last few years that I was wanting to do, but I never pulled the trigger. And, you know, I wouldn't think of myself as a fragile person. You know, you can't be a fragile person being a YouTuber streamer. The amount of, like, trolls and haters or whatever you get, there's a lot around. You're on the internet. You got to kind of accept it, right? But every now and then when I was trying to lose weight, before I had that, like, you know, euphoric click moment that everything clicked into place. You know, I was forcing myself to lose weight. All sometimes it took was that one comment of going, you're fat, or you look huge, or, you know, whatever. It just kind of reset me, and it just kind of sucked. So that was hard, you know, for a few years ago. And then I had an idea that I never did, but when I was like, right, I want to lose weight, you know, I was very tempted to turn off the camera. Obviously, I've used camera as a YouTuber streamer for the last few years, well, last many years actually, and I thought about that. You know, it's worked for some people, that without the pressure of, you know, people seeing you every day, you can kind of just lose weight in your own time, and then you probably won't get those comments, which could kind of mental reset you. But obviously, I never did that. And then, you know, in the last, well, again, I've been the weight or the fitness journey, I would say now, has been roughly the last 10 months now. I started September last year. It was September 12th, 2019. And obviously, since then, I've lost like 55 pounds. But obviously, the weight loss, I haven't really lost weight in the last 3-4 months because of lockdown. So for 6 to 7 months, I lost all the weight. What got me through that? Everything just clicked into place. I've tried to explain it, and I can't perfectly. that for some reason, when I got invited to the League of Legends 10 event in London, when we had the 10-year anniversary, I was one of the people selected for that. And I was also invited to be a featured streamer that, I was at in the top of the convention with everybody in the background. Only 2 people per country that were going. I got selected for that. And I was one of those streamers. I was like, damn, I want to try and be my best that I can be. This is the moment that I'm going to lose weight. And before that event, I lost, I think it was 22 pounds. And then part of me was like, oh, I lost 22 pounds. That's cool. But I kept going. After the event, the click still happened. I was in the weight loss mode. Even when I was at the event, by the way, there's amazing food there. I was out, in London with friends at a restaurant and stuff. I didn't go crazy. My mind was in weight loss mode. So it was just, it clicked. It happened finally. And some people have said that I've been their click, with keeping the camera on with losing weight and people seeing the progress. Some people said, oh, I realized I can do it too. You can. So yeah, I don't know. And then it's hard to explain. Part of me as well, I knew what I used to be. I used to be incredibly in shape when I was a late teenager. So like when I was about 17 years old, very in shape. And I want to get back to that point, which I practically am now, maybe-ish. But I want to go further. I want to get more in shape. I'm the strongest I've ever been, because comparing me 17 to now 26 years old, obviously I'm going to be stronger now that I'm active again. And here in the UK, gyms are opening in about a week's time. So, yeah. Hopefully that answers your question, though. But it's been good. I've been happy about it. Right, next couple, we'll go through them quick though. What is my favourite video to record that isn't gameplay? League discussions, Q&As, patch rundowns, etc. Probably Challenger Spectates. I really enjoy those, just chilling, because for me personally, there's no pressure on them because we're watching gameplay and I get to just watch the best players and kind of see what they're doing. And it's a learning experience. It's fun for me. I like commentating like that. So probably those. But I enjoy these Q&As. I like interaction with the audience. I like all the videos I do. Put it this way, there's I don't do videos that I don't like doing. We used to do profile breakdowns. I stopped doing those for 2 main reasons. One was they didn't really get amazing views, but secondly, the advice became repetitive and I stopped enjoying doing them. It was the same advice over and over. It kind of clicked with me when one video we had 5 profiles or something and the advice was the same every single profile. It was just, don't do this, don't do that, there you go. It just kind of became pointless. So, in essence, that's that. So, yeah. All right, next up is, again, it's the classic question of if I had to pick a one-trick champion, which would I pick? The genuine answer, and I'm not joking, is I legitimately wouldn't. I would quit League of Legends before I had to be like, you're playing one champion. It just doesn't interest me. I get bored. I've played the game for a long time, and yes, my playstyle has, for the most part, for the last 10 years, has been playing random stuff, because that's what I genuinely enjoy doing. The idea of being a one trick or just playing one thing is so anti-fun to me that I can't compute why people do it. If you want to do it, go for it. I don't understand it. But there you go. Next up, and the final question is, many people have the feeling that League of Legends has too many champions. So what are my thoughts of the idea of deleting some? Very controversial subjects. Could be the answer genuinely is they most likely will never delete a champion. The reason being, one, legally, financially, etc., how can they delete a champion? People own stuff that, they bought the champion with money. They bought the skins with money. So how would you go about that? Technically, and I will say, you don't own your League of Legends account. So legally, they can delete stuff if they wanted to. They could refund you or anything like that. They have the right to do it. But the blowback that they would get would be massive. It's not worth doing. But yeah, if you didn't know, by the way, you don't own your League of Legends account. Riot own every single account, and you just have access to a Riot-owned account. That's legally, how it works. It's the same with digital games. On Steam, they can delete any of your library at any time, and they can ban you from Steam, and you don't get any refunds because you do not own your Steam account. You do not own the games on digital. It's a weird way how it's legally done, but yeah. But in essence, sorry about that, slight tangent. They won't delete any champions. I've wanted for ages, I've said it, I wish they kind of was like, hey guys, 2021, there are no new champions coming out, and we're just focusing purely on reworks of champions that are too old or very controversial within the community. We're going to just fix that. They've gone the opposite, obviously. They announced even recently, we're doing 6 new champions a year, which, by the way, is more than they've been doing, I think. I think for the last, 3 to 4 years, they've been averaging about 4 to 5 champions a year, and now they've officially announced there's going to be 6 champions a year. 1 for every role, but 2 for mid lane. What? Kind of crazy, to be honest. So that does mean in the next few years we're having an even bigger champion roster. And the reason why, by the way, this is not a great thing, the more champions that are in the game, the harder the game becomes to balance. Because there's more pieces to the pie, right? You break one thing, and that doesn't affect just 10 champions. That affects 50 now. Or that one mechanic that is bugged, well, suddenly that mechanic is now bugged for 15 champions, where before it might have been bugged on 3. The more champions you have, the more negative things impact outward. And, there isn't really the positive to having more champions, I guess. Yeah, you're giving more options for the player base. But it's not a massive, when you've got 150 champions, that's a lot of options anyway. So I'm a little bit worried about how many champions there would be, but the idea of deleting champions, so, we spoke about it, financially, I don't think they'd ever do it. The blowback they would get would be mental from just I bought that, now you're deleting it. Secondly, again, there are a lot of the community, you can't deny, are one tricks or their mains, or they have a very big connection to a champion. If that gets deleted, just boom, it's gone, they'd stop playing the game. A lot of them, probably. An actual one-trick person, let's say, I don't know, Lee Sin. There's a lot of Lee Sin one-tricks. If he got deleted, a lot of those one-tricks are just Lee Sin players. They'd quit because that's what they play. So the blowback of deleting a champion would simply be too big. The better route is, if a champion is unhealthy or whatever, is just reworking that champion, and instead of releasing a new champion, it's just doing a rework instead of releasing something new. Because obviously I did even a poll recently. I was like, hey, what do you guys think about Yuumi? Delete the champion, change the champion, or keep it the same. On both polls, Twitter and on the YouTube community tab, delete the champion won. People hate that champion with a passion. I think it's for a couple reasons. One, she doesn't feel skillful to play against or even play, because you don't have to really care about your own positioning. It kind of, it's a funnel champion when Riot has been trying to get rid of funneling for years. And the healing. I do think it would be better if they worked on fixing healing. I think that would tone Yuumi down completely, because it's not just Yuumi. Soraka doesn't really feel great to play against either because of healing. Oh, I outskilled that champion. I nearly killed them, and 2 seconds later, because healing is just crazy right now, they're back to full health. Oh. So I do think healing just needs to be looked at instead of that. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this Q&A though. If you did, throw a like on the video. Again, massive thank you for supporting what I do. It means a lot. But have a great time. Good luck in solo queue yourself or whatever you may do. And again, hopefully you're just having fun in general. That is what we need to do in 2020 moving forward. Have fun in general. Play games. I've got a game up there that I'm going to start playing tonight. Ghost of... Is it Tsushima or something? I'm going to start playing that tonight. It's important. Don't just play League of Legends. Play other games. League of Legends is a very intense game, and it's not probably the best thing to just play only. It's good to diversify a little bit. But that's going to be it. If you guys enjoy, throw a like on it, throw a comment, throw a subscribe. See you guys next time. Peace.